Hello, and welcome to episode 33 of the Sarah Seams podcast. My name is Sarah. I'm coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, where I live with my partner Troy and our three cats, Alex, Moo, and Elsie. If you hear some background noises, that's Elsie with her new toy in the hallway. Today is Sunday, July 13th. It is very hot in Columbus. The real feels like over 90 degrees. It's sunny, very humid, so staying inside today. It's been about 2 weeks since my last episode, so kind of getting back to a more regular schedule. Before we jump in, I did have one note. So in an effort to make filming and, backtrack. I should say, this is my little crafty corner of the internet where I share all about my projects: knitting, spinning, quilting, sewing, all of that, mostly knitting, but today there's a lot of spinning content as well. Sorry, even though it's only been 2 weeks, I feel like I'm not in it. My head's not in the game today. We've had a friend staying with us this weekend, so I'm a little scattered. But yes, this is my mostly knitting podcast. And normally I have posted really extensive show notes for every episode in the description box. But as I started saying, in an effort to kind of make this process a little bit easier on myself and try and get back to a more regular posting schedule every 2 weeks, I'm no longer going to be doing like super extensive description notes. However, if you have a question about any pattern or yarn or anything, please feel free to leave me a comment and I will reply to all of those comments as soon as I can. So that's just something, one little change I'm making to make this whole process a little bit easier on myself so that I can show up more often. So with that said, what you can still find in the description box is a link to my Instagram, my email. If you would like to reach out to me, check out what I post on Instagram. I definitely post a little bit more often on stories over there. So yeah, with all that said, let's jump in. I have a couple of FOs today, 2 knitting objects. One of them is a complete and utter failure. It's probably one of my biggest failures to date, so I'll tell you all about that. And the rest of them are spinning, so I will share those with you in a moment. So I'll start with knitting and I'll start with the success. So I'm currently participating in Sari Nordland's Summer Shawl Knit Along, which is where we are knitting 3 small shawls or scarves in 3 months. It's just like a fun knit along that she's doing this year. And since we last chatted, I have started and finished the second one. So the first pattern came out at the beginning of June. This one came out at the beginning of July. The last one will come out at the beginning of August. And this is the Kutar shawl. So here it is. This is her Kutar lace pattern. Really, really pretty. The interesting thing about this particular lace pattern are these wrapped stitches. Here, they kind of create these little clusters of stitches. It's a really beautiful lace pattern. The wraps are like a little bit fiddly to work, but there's only maybe like 10 or 12 of them in the entire shawl, so it's not too bad. The yarns I used were leftover stuff I had in stash, so I can't exactly remember what they were, but this was the main color. I think this was Sweet Georgia's sock. I can't remember the colorway. And then I had a skein of, I think this was rose gold from the Wandering Flock mohair, and I held those together. And I got this really beautiful rosy pink fabric with these flecks of gold. I love how it turned out. I think those two held together are really, really nice. And again, these little shawls, you can kind of like wrap them like this. This one's really soft. This yarn combo is really nice. You can wrap it like this. Kind of do a little tie, show off those little lace ends. They're really cute. I like this one a lot. It's kind of a similar colorway to the first one that I knit, so I need to just decide which of the two I want to keep, and then the other one will probably become a Christmas gift. But I really like how this one turned out, so it might be this one. We'll see. That is the first object. I think it came out on like the 7th or 8th, and I finished it in like a week. So these are really fun, quick little projects, especially if you like knitting lace. I think these are a great like smaller project to work on some lace knitting. That pattern is not quite as intuitive to me as the Poet pattern, which is what the first one was, but it's still really enjoyable to knit. Okay, you want to hear about my failure? So as I said, this is probably one of my biggest knitting project fails to date, which is unfortunate because I was excited about the end product. But what I was trying to make was the Tolsta tank. Here's a picture. This is a recently released pattern by Rebecca Clow. I was trying to make the straight neck version that's pictured here, but there's also like a cami version and a vest, like higher neck version. They're all really cute. I had plans to make one of each, but I'm not gonna lie, after this experience, I think I might, this experience has kind of put me off summer knitting already, if I'm being honest, which is a bummer. I know it's technically just become summer, but I feel like with knitting, like I start wanting to work on summer knits in like March and April, and then by the time we get to like July and August, I'm already kind of ready to get back into like sweater knits. And I can feel that starting to happen already, especially since this project turned out so poorly. So I have one other like summer fiber knit on the needles right now that I definitely plan to finish. But after that, I probably won't cast any more on this year. And I'll talk more about some other plans I have later in the episode. But okay, let me show you this monstrosity. It's really bad. Here's mine. So, first of all, this is the yarn. It is Wool and the Gang's Billie Jean yarn. The color is Dirty Denim. It's 150 yards per 100 grams. So really this is like a worsted to Aran weight cotton yarn. The pattern calls for DK. So I think the first and main mistake was that this yarn is too heavy for this pattern. Now it's knit bottom up, so I started knitting the body and I was getting stitch gauge actually. So the stitch gauge is 17 stitches by 27 rows. And I was getting stitch gauge 27 stitches per 4 inches. But I knew that my row gauge was really long. So I was getting 20 stitches per 4 inches where Rebecca's getting 27 stitches. So that wasn't really that big of a problem when I was just knitting the body to the desired length, and I wanted it to be cropped. So I knit it to about 7 inches. But when I started shaping the front panels, I knew it was going to be a problem because if I knitted the specified amount of rows, mine was going to be like way, way too long. So I kind of accounted for that, but it wasn't super successful. Mine was still way too wide when I had the correct amount of stitches. So I kind of stopped it and it was hitting me like here, but it was coming out to like here, you know? So I knit the back the same way and I was like, okay, well maybe instead of picking up and doing ribbing around the armhole, I'll just knit an I-cord around the armhole. This yarn is so stiff and hard to work with. I like could not do the applied I-cord because it was just impossible. I really did not enjoy this yarn at all. I just think it's really not suitable for garments, if I'm being honest. It looks pretty, like I think the marl's really nice, but it's so heavy. I really feel like this yarn is probably only suitable for like home projects, if I'm being honest. Or like crochet blankets or something. Like it's just really not a good garment yarn. And again, that's on me. It was like a bad yarn choice for this project. So I ultimately decided, okay, I need to just do as the pattern suggests, pick up around the armhole and knit the ribbing. And that was fine. That went just fine. I picked up a few less stitches just to try and bring it in a little bit, but it was still like way too wide. So then I was like, okay, I also didn't do ribbing on the neckline because I thought it's already way too high. So I just like bound off the neckline. I was like, it'll just be clean finished. So then we're at like this point. I try it on. It's like way too wide across here. So then I put some elastic in to cinch it in, as you can see. And that I was like, oh, that's fine. It just has like a little gathered look, like that's fine. But the body ended up being too wide and I just wasn't like happy with the whole thing. So in a last ditch effort, I thought, okay, I'm gonna throw it in like a washer and dryer cycle, which I don't normally do, but sometimes with cotton, it helps it to like shrink up a little bit. And instead of shrinking this way, it only shrunk this way. And look how short it is. It's like a hilarious little tube top. Like it It's just a complete failure. The elastic is poking out where I added that. It's really bad, friends. So I share that with you to acknowledge that sometimes we fail. And honestly, I should have known that this wasn't going to turn out the way I wanted, and I should have like listened to my gut, and that's really what I'm trying to take away from this project. Last time I was on here, I was complaining about how I hated working with this yarn, but I was trying to power through, and I should have just not done that. Like, if I wasn't enjoying it, it's probably because it wasn't a good like fit for the project. And I should have just listened to my gut on that instead of putting in, like, I spent most of yesterday finishing this and then only to like hate it and know that I'm never gonna wear it. And now I've not only wasted time, but I've also wasted resources, and it's kind of a bummer. Like I said, it's kind of put me off summer knitting already. Like, I'm just a lot more excited about some of my other projects. And yeah, this one's a fail. Lesson learned. Trust your gut. If you're not enjoying the project, there's probably a reason, and don't sink all your time into it. So yes, I like to show you not only my triumphs, but also my failures, and that was a big one. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. I suppose I could unravel it, but I don't think I want to use this yarn again. So it may end up getting donated. It may end up just getting shredded up and becoming like stuffing. Like, I don't know. I'll have to figure out what to do with it. But yeah, kind of disappointing. Ready to move on to some other projects. Put this one in the rearview mirror. All right, I'm curious if any of you have had a knitting fail recently. If so, please share below in a comment so I know that I'm not alone. Okay, so now I have something more fun to show you. I have a bunch of spinning that I've been doing recently to share with you. It is Tour de Fleece right now, so that started on June 29th, I think, and runs until July 21st. And this is my first year participating. I just got my little EEW Nano spinner for Christmas, and just really started playing around with it in like February or March of this year. I'm not on a Tour de Fleece team or anything. I'm just personally challenging myself to spin every day, even if it, for 15 minutes, for a couple hours, whatever. But I have found that I'm probably spending at least an hour a day spinning, which I've been really enjoying. It's so like, I find it very peaceful. Like, it requires even less mental energy than knitting for me. I really especially enjoy it like first thing in the morning when I have like a cup of tea and I'm listening to a podcast. Just like, it's a very slow, nice thing to like do first thing in the morning, and I'm loving that. So I'll show you in order of how I made them. So first up, I have 2 skeins that are finished, and this was a combo spin. So I had 1 braid of natural white targhee, and then I had 1 braid of dyed Falklands wool. Both were from Three Waters Farms. The Falklands had all these really pretty shades of like purple and pink and like mauve and these like brownie kind of taupe colors. That color was called Stones and Amethyst or something like that. Stone and Amethyst maybe. So yeah, I applied these together. It's definitely a little bit thick and thin. I think especially on the white ply, the targhee, I don't think I had enough twist in my single, because after I soaked them, that one really loosened up a lot, and you can see it's kind of like puffed out in a few places. So that was a good learning for me, that I needed to get a little bit more twist in my singles, and that's something that I'm working on. So I've also been working on trying to get a finer spin. So like I said, this one's a little thick and thin, but I would say it probably ended up somewhere between a sport and a DK weight, with a few like pops of like closer to a worsted or Aran weight. But overall, I think it's pretty nice and pretty consistent, and I think it turned out really well. This was my first combo spin. It was my first bigger spin where I was really trying to focus on like the consistency of my drawing. And yeah, I think noted improvement. I have a couple of ideas in mind for these. My first thought was to knit a traveler cowl, and possibly that would be a Christmas gift for somebody. but Andrea Mowry is about to release her Rhinebeck sweater, and if you haven't seen the preview, it's like a quilt design, all over color work. I'm absolutely gonna be knitting it. And it's possible, if I have enough, this could be really pretty as the contrast color. So we'll see. I don't know if it's quite even enough that I would feel confident knitting a garment with it, but that's a possibility. And I'll talk more about that later because I'm very excited. So yeah, I was really happy with how these turned out. I'm not a technical spinner. I'm a vibes spinner, as Andrea Mowry says. So I have no idea about the grist or anything. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I have not tried to figure out how much yardage I have yet. These were soaked and reskeined. So obviously if I were to use them in a project, I would have to kind of figure out the yardage, but yeah, I'm just really happy with them. They're really soft and squishy. Very pleased with how those turned out. Also, I just have to show you my nails. My sister just did them for me. Look at the fruits. There's lemons, oranges, cherries, blueberries, and watermelons. How cute. She does amazing nail art. Okay, sorry, anyway. Next, this is my favorite spin I've ever done, hands down. This was a bat that I got from Artifacts of Appreciation, or not Artifacts of Appreciation. That's a lie. I think I just saw that on Instagram. It's from a Gem Fiber Arts. I found them on Etsy. Sorry, I have no idea why my brain just said that. I think Artifacts of Appreciation just did a drop of some bats, and I saw it like 10 minutes after they posted it, and they were all sold out already, and they were so beautiful. Anyway, this one was from a Gem Fiber Arts on Etsy. It was also beautiful. The color was called California Sunset, and it had a bunch of different types of fibers in it, merino, BFL, I don't even remember, there were a bunch, but it is so beautiful. It is just like rainbow sherbet, pinks and oranges. There was also a little bit of like a grello-y, like a greenish chartreuse color, tiny bits of a darker purple that you can't really see, but yes. So again, I think this is the first time I really achieved like a pretty fine single. It's not perfect. There's still some little neps, but I mean, that's kind of the charm of handspun, right? You get that texture. So yes, overall, I'm really, really happy with how fine this turned out. This is a 2-ply. I really enjoyed working from the bat. I just kind of pulled it into strips along the grain and spun it up that way. So there's a pretty nice distribution of color. You know, it's not like a fractal or anything, but I think you get a lot of nice variety. This is so incredibly, incredibly soft. I'm really happy with it. I don't know what to make with it. It's so beautiful. I think it would be great as like a contrast color in a yoke or something. I'm actually thinking the West Knits MCal is coming up. This I would definitely say is like fingering weight to sport weight. It has again a couple little parts that are a bit thicker, but it's not thicker than sport weight. I think this could be fun in a shawl, or like I said, a contrast color in a yoke or something. So I'll have to find a special project for this, but I love the color. I love the vibrancy. It really gives me that like orange sherbet vibe. Very fun and summery. I'm really proud of this one. This feels like my first real like skein, like I could like buy this in a store and like use it in like a colorwork project. You know, it feels much more like refined than the rest of the spinning I've been doing. So I'm really, really proud of that one. And that's more along the line of what I'm like hoping to achieve with future spins. Again, I did not figure out yardage yet, but that was finished. Oh my God. I set that on my computer and it's just typing like 100 apostrophes. Goodness. Okay, that's silly. All right, and then the rest of what I have to show you for spinning are some little like samples. So when I first got my wheel, I ordered just like a couple different fiber things to try it out. And one of the things I ordered was a set of little carded fleece 1 ounce samples that were all different breed specific wools. So this is what they looked like when they came in. This one is Rommeldale. I'll be spinning this one up tomorrow. And it just kind of shows you a picture of the sheep and tells you a little bit about the breed characteristics. So This one, for example, says it's a rare breed. It's soft and nicely crimped, white and multicolor, 20 to 25 micron. So yeah, I'm excited to spin up the Romeldale tomorrow. It's really soft and poofy. But so I have 9 of these, 9 different breeds, and I've spun up 6 of them in the past couple of weeks. So I thought I would just show you those really quickly. They are not finished yet. So I've been just spinning these up, and I thought that I would just kind of like soak them and dry them all at the same time once I'm done. So they're skeined up, but they haven't been washed or dried yet. So let me just quickly show you these. I feel like I've learned like quite a bit just doing these few samples about like the breed characteristics. So this first one is Border Leicester. Here's the sheep and here's the wool. So this was a really pretty dark brown one. I'm spinning all of these my kind of default thin ply 2-ply. And this one is fairly soft. I would say it's like medium coarseness. It says 30 to 40 microns, so it's definitely more of a rustic wool, but it's not super scratchy. A beautiful like chocolatey gray color, and it has a lot of like structure and bounce to it. I really enjoyed spinning this one. Next, so I'm doing them in alphabetical order because that's how my brain works. Next was Falkland, which is one of my favorites. This one just had a smaller little tag on it, but it's beautiful, natural white, really soft. I really enjoy spinning the Falkland. This was one that I had tried already. As I said, that amethyst and stone color was Falkland, but it's very soft. It has a little bit more drape, but it's really nice. I could definitely see doing like a garment spin in Falkland. Okay, who was next? Finn. Here's Finn. So this one says it's a medium to fine wool, soft handle and moderate crimp, usually white with high luster, 24 to 31 microns. So if you're not familiar with microns, the lower the micron, the softer the wool is. So your like cashmeres, your super fine merinos are gonna be in that like 18 to 22 range probably, and the higher you get, the more coarse it is. This, I love how the little skein turned out. Again, this is just a natural white. It is definitely lustrous. Like if you look at it next to the Falkland, you can see it has a little bit more shine and like softness to it. I did not like spinning this though. It was squeaky. So what I've learned is that the higher luster wools are like kind of have like a squeakiness when you're spinning them. And I was not into that. That was like sensorily bad for me. I did not like that. However, it is very drapey and it's very beautiful. It's quite soft and it has kind of a halo. So I don't know, it has pros for sure, but I would not be like eager to spin Finn again because of that squeakiness that I really didn't enjoy. And again, I'm sure all of this like depends on the sheep and where you get it from. These are just the little samples that I've had. Next up was Gotland. Here's the sheep. The breed characteristics are well-defined locks, long dense fiber, blue grays to charcoal blacks, 18 to 35 plus microns, and the color is beautiful. It's this like deep natural charcoal gray. This really did, it looked like hair, like when you're spinning it. It's such a long wool. Look at the drape on this. It is just like so drapey, very lustrous, but it is very coarse. I do have to say, I think spinning the long wools is kind of fun. Like they spin up really, really quickly and they naturally want to be like a thicker single and they don't want as much twist. And you can just tell that, like, you know, when I'm spinning like the Falkland or like the Finn or something, you can get a lot more twist in the single because there's more air in it to begin with. But with these like hairier long wools, they don't want to take as much twist. If you put too much twist in, it kind of turns into rope. So you just get like a naturally softer yarn. So that's the kind of stuff I've just been learning by doing, and it's been really fun. And these are all just little 1 ounce samples, so they're not bad to spin up, even if it's not my favorite, like the Finn. Okay, next was one of probably my favorite ones so far. This was the Jacob. Look at this guy. He's silly. And it is a threatened breed, strong and lofty fiber, silky, soft, and springy quality. I would definitely agree. It has distinct patterns of white and dark brown and 25 to 35 microns. So you can definitely see in here that color variation. It's really beautiful grays and browns. Like some of them are quite dark, like right here. This is my favorite kind of wool. It is squishy and bouncy. I would definitely, honestly, I think even just like a natural Jacob sweater quantity would be so beautiful. Like it has such lovely variation just naturally. Really, really nice. This was definitely my favorite one so far. It's really not drapey. It has quite a bit of body to it, but that's what I love. So I really enjoyed that one. And then just today I was working on the Leicester long wool. I think it's pronounced Leicester. This is the sheep. He is a cute guy. This is curly, soft handling, and lustrous. It has a spiral tipped staple, 32 to 38 microns. So this was another one that was like kind of a long, hairy wool. It's a beautiful natural color. It is quite shiny. And again, look at the drape. It's just like, this is probably the drapiest one yet. It is just absolutely slouchy. But it is lovely. Again, I don't think you could wear this like next to skin. It's quite coarse. But another really fun one to spend. This one had some lanolin left in it. I could really feel it. And again, it really feels like almost like human hair. Like that's how thick it is when you're spinning it. I had to do a lot of pre-drafting on this one. But yeah, so far I have 6 little samples. I have 3 more. So like I said, I have Rommeldale tomorrow, and I can already tell that I'm gonna like this one. It's nice and squishy and airy. And then I have Romney and then Shetland, which is another kind of like hairier one. So yeah, I definitely think I'm gonna finish all of those up by the end of Tour de Fleece. And then that would be the end of my little fiber stash that I had. So I do have some fiber acquisitions to show you later. And yeah, I think I'm gonna finish those up in the next like 3 to 5 days probably. And it's just nice to have those for reference and just get that experience of like using all the different breeds. If you are newer to spinning like I am, I would definitely recommend ordering like a pack of these from, you know, Etsy or wherever, just to try the different breeds and like expose yourself to different types of fiber. So that is it for finished objects. Let me move on to works in progress. Okay, so I have 5 knitting WIPs and 1 quilting WIP to share with you today. So let's jump right in with socks. So I still have my hot pink basic short row heel socks. That's kind of been my car project. Haven't made a lot of progress on them, so I'm not going to show those today. I think last time I showed you, maybe I hadn't finished it. I finished the first of the Breton stripe socks for Troy. Here it is. Maybe I hadn't finished it. I can't remember. Yeah, so this is one of the sock patterns from Summer Lee's book, The Sock Project. I'm kind of making my way through the whole book in order. So yes, this is the Breton stripe. So it has a 2x1 cuff, a little bit of a leg. These are 9 rows of the main color and 3 rows of the contrast color, a classic heel flap and gusset, foot, and a regular toe. So yeah, I think actually maybe I hadn't finished these last time because I'm knitting these for Troy. And in the past, I've always just knit him socks in the same size I knit for myself, but his feet are actually smaller than mine. So I took his measurements this time and I actually made the recommended size. I do size down a size in Summer Lee's patterns. We just prefer our socks to fit a bit more on the snug side. So like, for example, myself, I think I measure into the like large or extra large in her patterns, but I make a medium, which is the 64 stitch sock. For Troy, he measured into the medium, but I'm making him a small, which is the 56 stitch sock. So these are 56 stitches, really cute. The yarn is the main color, the tweed, is a Chick That Knits Blue Moon on their Donegal sock. Really pretty. I love a tweed sock yarn, especially for Troy. I think these are really fun. And then the contrast color, that kind of silvery blue, was some Kelborn Woolens Perennial that I had left over from another project. I'm carrying the yarn all the way. So you're supposed to catch your floats. I at first forgot and then decided not to, so I did not. I can show you what the inside looks like. Okay, so yeah, I just carry the floats up the inside and try to make sure they're not too tight that, you know, when he puts the sock on, they're gonna break or anything, and that seems to be just fine. So it would be better to catch them, but I'm lazy. So yeah, I finished the first one and I knit it to the length that I thought it should be based on his foot measurements, and it was way too short in the foot length. It was like an inch too short. So then I had to do some surgery on it. You might be able to see right here. I had to cut the toe off and basically add an entire additional stripe repeat. So I think probably he really needs a 60 stitch sock. I think that would be like the Goldilocks sock number for him. But these fit and he likes how tight they are. But because of how tight they are around, you know, normally you can get away with like 3/4 to an inch of negative ease in the length of the foot. But because of how tight the sock is around, it was also shortening the foot. So I really needed to knit the foot to like the actual length of his foot instead of having that like 3 3/4 inches of negative ease. So adding just like that one additional stripe repeat solved the problem. Now they fit great, but you can a little bit see where I had to graft the toe back on. So yeah, I think it turned out very, very cute. I did start the second one. Haven't made a ton of progress. Right now it's on 9-inch circulars because I had to steal my sock needles for the next project I'm going to show you. But yeah, probably continue maybe later today working on those a bit more. So I spontaneously started a third sock project. I have never participated in this before, but I was seeing it all over social media and decided to jump on the bandwagon. So Stephen West is currently hosting his summer sock along, or I'm not exactly sure what the acronym is for, but he does like a mystery sock knit along. And I just spontaneously decided to join in. So I did. So you needed 1 main color and 3 contrast colors. So I just went stash diving, and this is my main color. I purchased this in a D stash. It's variegated, really pretty. It's kind of like a deep berry with all of these like other pops of colors. There's even like a little bit of blue in there. And that is Ken yarn. Where's the ball band? Yes, Ken Yarn's Ugly Stepsister is the colorway. That is an 80-20 blend. And then for my contrast colors, I had a couple minis in my stash, so I'm using this light pink one, this hot pink, and this pretty like pinky brown. So I finished the first clue for 1 sock. So I'm about to show the finished clue 1 for the West Knits mystery sock along. If you don't want to see, you can jump ahead to this time to avoid spoilers. This is a weird one. It's so weird. So, you know, when you cast on a sock, you expect to be knitting in the round. This leg of this sock is knit flat. So here it is. This is the front. So you cast on flat on like 1 needle and you knit this wave and ridge texture. Then there's a chevron section. Then you have these colorful welts, which are pretty cool, but they're going to be going down your leg like this. Again, this is the leg of the sock. So those are very dimensional. Then you knit chevrons again, and then you have a striped I-cord bind off that also joins the like flat edges together. That was very fiddly. That was a bit of a struggle. It looks awesome, but it was not the most fun thing in the world to knit. So yeah, these are really wild. Like again, this is the leg of the sock, so it's kind of gonna be like that. Like if this was your foot, that's the leg. Pretty cool. I mean, they're really different. The texture is awesome. I'm a little bit like not sure what's going to be the front, like what direct, like are these going to be on the front? Because also the striped bind off isn't like centered on the welt. So like if this was centered on the front of your leg, this is kind of like off to the side. I don't know, it's just kind of wild. I mean, it's Stephen West, what do you expect? You expect it to be wild, but it, as always, super fun to knit, super fun techniques. That's why everybody, like, that's why people love his patterns, and I totally agree. I think the contrast colors are really fun with the main color. I think they pull out a lot of those little accents. This did take a long time to knit. I was like, oh, I'll just cast that on. No, this was like the only thing I knit all week, basically. At least it took up a couple like dedicated days of knitting just this. So I kind of decided I'm gonna commit to finishing at least one during the knit along. And then if I have time to start the second one during the knit along, I will. And if not, I will finish it at a later date because I want to keep up with the clues. But if this is all I do, I'm not going to work on anything else. So yeah, I just want to try and at least finish one during the knit along. Fun techniques. Steven's tutorial videos are amazing and helpful as always. I think personally that's like one of the best part of participating in his knit alongs is like he makes great tutorials and like teaches you a lot of techniques. So I had never done a striped I-cord bind off like this before. Love to learn that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm very eager to see where we go from here. It's kind of a weird one. So yeah, please, I'm curious to know if you are also participating. Let me know. Right now it kind of just looks like a weird koozie, like I want to like put my beer in it. Mr. West, he's crazy. But yeah, that's the mystery sock along. Okay, I'll put it away now. So it's now safe for you to return if you didn't want to see the spoilers. Next up, I'm gonna give you an update on my last summer fiber project. Now, no promises, who knows, I might spontaneously cast on another like cotton linen project, but I do feel like I lost my mojo a little bit. However, this one I love. This fabric's beautiful, the yarn's lovely to work with. This is my Oolong Tank by Amy Scher. And I finished the front panel. I can't remember if I showed this last time. I'm sorry if I did. I think I had almost finished the front panel and I did now finish it. So you can see that beautiful lace edge. This is stunning. I can't wait to finish this. I think it's just going to be so nice to wear. It's going to fit so well. I'm very excited about it. So I just need to knit the other front panel and the back panel, which the back panel is probably going to take a fair bit of time. This is fingering weight. It has taken longer than expected. But you know, even if I don't get a ton of wear out of it this season, I know that I'll have like a beautiful top to wear next season. So very excited about it. This fabric is beautiful. The yarn is Kelborn Woolens Mojave. The color is slate gray and it's such a nice soft fabric. So I think what I've learned also is that I prefer fingering weight summer tops, and those like DK to worsted weight cottons, they're not nice to work with and they're not that nice to wear. So I think, you know, I'm always learning, but I think stuff in this vein is probably where I need to live for summer knitting. And if that means I only get like 1 or 2 summer tops done a year because they're fingering weight, that's okay. At least I'll have tops that I'm gonna love to wear as opposed to things that don't turn out the way I want them to. So I'll keep going on that one. Next one is a new cast on. And I'm not quite almost done with it, but okay, so this was a totally random, spontaneous cast on in the past couple of weeks. I saw, it must have been on Instagram somewhere, I had saved a picture. Someone had marled a neon pink yarn with a white yarn and they were knitting them together, and I was like, yes, I need that in my life. And you may remember I had cast on a sport tee by Park and Knit in this neon pink yarn. And I just wasn't feeling drawn to work on that. I wasn't really enjoying it that much. I felt like the yarn wasn't like a perfect fit for that project. So I decided to unravel that, frog that, and cast on this instead. So I have cast on a linto that's hot pink and white. Oh my god, it looks so good. So yes, this is the linto by Yana Heelan. This is my 4th one. And actually, after I got through the yoke, I realized I already have a hot pink linto. So I have one that is fingering with mohair that is like neon pink. So that's gonna be my fuzzy neon pink version. This is gonna be my more sporty neon pink. So I am holding this with Knit Picks Stroll Bear, which is just an undyed fingering weight yarn, superwash merino and nylon. The marl looks so good. I'm obsessed with it. I'm making a couple modifications to this version. So I did, instead of knit front and back increases, I did an eyelet raglan. So instead of knitting front and back, I just added a yarn over. And I think that looks really cool. It adds kind of a sporty detail. This is the front. This is the back. Yeah, I really like how that looks. And then the other thing is that I'm gonna add a split hem. So I want it to be cropped with a split rib hem. So I actually just kind of got to the point where I'm ready to split the hem and work those ribbing bands. And then the sleeve. And how I think I'm gonna do the sleeve is straight. The pattern is written to have like, not fitted, but like it's a tapered sleeve. I think I'm going to just do like half the amount of increases that the pattern calls for. I want a slightly tapered sleeve, but I'd like it to still have a wider cuff than the linto normally has. And I'm just gonna knit them as long as I can. It's gonna be a little bit yarn chicken. I might run out of the stroll, and I went online to order another ball and it's out of stock right now. So, and I need it now because I could finish this like this week. I need it now. No. But yeah, I'm loving this. The fabrics are really nice and squishy and bouncy. I think it's gonna be super nice to wear. And I really love what adding the white marl does to like tone down the pink, because when I started knitting the sport tee with just that neon pink yarn, I was like, wow, this is really intense. Like, I don't know how often I'm gonna be able to wear this. Like, probably not that often, if I'm being honest, because I already have, as I said, one like solid neon pink sweater. I wear it occasionally, but not as often as I might like. But with this one, I feel like adding the marl just softens it just enough that like, I think I could wear this all the time. And the fabric is really nice. So I'm so happy with it. Total impulse cast on, knit the entire yoke in like 2 days. I was kind of torn at first. My first thought was to do a drop shoulder, but I have knit a drop shoulder marled before, and there is a really obvious difference between what the marl looks like knit flat and in the round, and you can like see exactly where you switch. So that's why I decided to do a raglan instead, so that I could be knitting in the round the entire time and the marl would be consistent. I think it looks so good. Very happy with it. I'm knitting size 4. As I said, cropped. It's gonna have a split hem. I love it. I love the linto. Like, whenever I get like a yarn combo or like an idea that I just really want to try and I want it to knit up quickly, I always reach for the linto because it fits me well. It's quick, it's easy, it's very customizable. Love it. So this would be my 4th one. And again, just to show you that fabric, it's so fun. I love it. So that's my crazy hot pink linto. I will probably try and finish it before the next podcast because I've got some other sweaters to cast on. Okay, next I wanted to just give you a quick update on one of my blanket projects. I've been working on it fairly often over the past couple of months, but I haven't showed it in a while. And I just thought I would show you it today. So this is my Zigzag Zen blanket by Anina UT. Here it is. I think it's looking so good. So it's kind of a modular knit. So you start with, you knit these stripes, garter stripes, you knit this block, then you pick up and knit this one, pick up and knit this one, you know, so on and so forth until you're getting to these like much larger stripes. Wow, it's getting so big I can't even show it. And the yarns I'm using, the brown, the main color, was something I got in a D-stash. It was a Madeline Tosh DK. The color is like espresso or cafe or something. It's a really pretty rich brown. I got a bunch of it, but they're all different dye lots, so I didn't feel like I could use it in a garment, but it's like perfect for a blanket. And then all the little colorful guys are, some of them are just like minis that I had kicking around, but most of them are the minis from my Camellia Fiber Co. Secret Garden Advent. You probably remember me saying that I wasn't super thrilled with those because you can tell even from here, like, look how similar they all look. There's like 12 different colors in here, but like they're so soft and subtle. But I think they look really pretty in the blanket. It's a lot of shades of green and pink. And I think with the brown, it's kind of giving like mint chocolate chip ice cream. This is a very enjoyable project, especially for like TV knitting. It's super fun. I don't know how big I'm gonna make it. I had toyed around with the idea of it just being like a pet blanket or something, but I definitely have enough yarn to keep going. So I think I'm just gonna keep going until I run out of yarn, and then I will be done. And one more blanket update. I have finished 10 more blocks for my Sawtooth Quilt Star. Wait, Sawtooth Star Quilt. I got there in the end. Yes, I finished 10 more blocks, and I have kind of decided now that I'm going to do 7 blocks by 7. So I need 49. And as I've been working, I have 5 solid colors and 5 ginghams, and I'm just doing every combination. So that's gonna give me 50 different like unique blocks. So my thought is I'll just make all 50, and then whichever one is my least favorite, I just won't include that one. And yeah, so I now have 30 of the 50 done. I kind of sew them in like 10 at a time just because it's easiest for me to do it that way. And I did get everything cut out. So now I just have 2 more like 3 to 4 hour sessions probably to finish all the blocks. Then I get to do the layout, which for me is always a really hard part, especially if you're going for kind of like a random look. I'm not good at that. So I don't know, I feel like what I need to figure out like a design wall or something. So we'll see. I don't know. I need a space to be able to like lay everything out. But anyway, let me just show you the ones that I made. So this time we had the brown solid with the black and white gingham. And then I also do the inverse. Solid white with clay gingham. And all of these fabrics are leftover from garments that I've made. I love sewing these linen blocks. It's hard to be quite as precise with the linen as it is with cotton, but I think it's gonna feel so nice as a finished quilt. I cannot wait to have this one to use. This is a combo I wasn't sure about, but it actually turned out really cute. The green with the periwinkle. Yeah, even the ones where I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna look so good, they usually end up looking cute. So yeah, those were my most recent 10 blocks. Like I said, I have 20 more to go, and then it's time to assemble. And I did pick out like the backing. I'm just gonna do, I ordered a bunch of like oatmeal, like almond colored linen, thinking I was gonna make a dress with it, but I actually didn't really like the color on my skin tone. So I think I'm just gonna use that for the backing, like a really plain linen backing. And then I had made that little rainbow check dress like a month or so ago, and I had some scraps that I'm gonna use for the border, so it'll have a fun like rainbow kind of border. So yeah, I think my goal of finishing that by the end of the summer is pretty realistic. Feeling good about it. All right, that's it for WIPS. Let's move on to acquisitions. Okay, I have some fun acquisitions today. So first up, I purchased a sweater quantity from a D-stash on Instagram, and it is Treehouse Knits Solstice. Gorgeous like sapphire blue. This is their Sequoia sock base. It's an 80-20 blend. It's a twisted base. So pretty. So I have 5 skeins of this. Ooh, she's gorgeous. I don't know what I'm gonna make with it, but I don't have a lot of sweater quantities in stash, and this is a color that I love, and I'm definitely feeling the need for a navy blue sweater or cardigan in my wardrobe, and I'm just happy to have this in stash. I got a great deal on it, and it is beautiful. Yeah, I could see it being great held with mohair or just on its own. We'll see. Next up, so I decided that I'm gonna knit a Rhinebeck sweater for Troy. We are going to Rhinebeck this year. I can share more details about that as we get a little closer, but we will be there on Sunday. And Maxim Sear recently released the old-fashioned cardigan. Here's a picture. Really beautiful design. It's knit in Aran weight. It's gonna knit up really quickly. And I saw it and I just kind of fell in love with it for Troy, and I sent him a picture and I was like, hey, do you like this? And he was like, yeah. So he picked out the color. I'm using their recommended yarn, and this is going to be Troy's Rhinebeck sweater. So he picked the color, what is this called? Vincent's Highland Coup. So it is a really beautiful like chestnutty brown, kind of a reddish brown. It's looking a little bit more like brighter on camera than it is in real life. That's pretty accurate. It's fairly dark. But yeah, I think it's gonna be gorgeous. I'm really excited to cast this on. It's my first time using their yarns. Beautiful. Like all the packaging and everything is beautiful. Came in such a cute package with Max's like illustrations on it. I've recently started watching their podcast. They're pretty delightful. But so yeah, they're having a knit along for this right now as well. And they're having a meetup at Rhinebeck, but unfortunately it's on Saturday, so we're gonna miss that probably. But yeah, I'm excited for Troy's graciously tagging along to Rhinebeck with me, so the least I can do is knit him a sweater. So I'm probably gonna cast this on like this week, if not like today. The yarn's gorgeous. It is 70% BFL, 30% Massam. This is their British Aran. So it is 182 yards per 100 grams. I guess I'm kind of surprised they're calling that an Aran. It seems a little more like worsted to me, but what do I know? The cotton I used was like definitely an Aran weight cotton, then, if that's, because that was 150 yards. I don't know. They're calling it British Aran. It's definitely worsted to Aran. Gorgeous. It's pretty soft. I mean, for being, you know, there's no superwash. It's really nice. So has kind of a luster. Very excited to cast this on for him. And the rest of the acquisitions are fibers. So as I said, once I finish spinning up those next couple of samples, I will have worked through all my fibers. So when I first got my wheel, I ordered like that natural color Targhee braid just to like practice with. That one dyed Falklands top, and those two that I spun up together. The pretty bat that's like the orange and pink one, and the samples, and some roll legs. So because I kind of wanted to try like different preps and different fibers, and I've now worked through all of that. So I decided, now that I've kind of practiced getting a better feel for it, that I wanted to spin for a project. And what I want to spin for is The Night Shift by Andrea Mowry. I feel like a lot of people spin for this. It's something I've wanted to knit for a long time, and I also feel like spinning for a shawl is a little bit more forgiving than trying to spin for a garment as my first like project spin, because the gauge doesn't matter as much. So I purchased 6 braids from, I think it's Fat Cat Knits. Yeah, Fat Cat Knits, hand painted tops and bats on Etsy. And I like agonized over picking my colors for this. I spent so many hours on Etsy like trying to pick the perfect colors, and I'm really, really happy with them and really excited to start spinning these. It's taken a lot to like force myself to finish those little samples when all I want to do is start spinning these, but I did just want to show you, they sent a nice card and some cute little beaded stitch markers with the order. So let me show you. I knew I wanted it to be kind of reds and purples and pinks. And the first one I found that I knew I had to have was this one. The color is Beets, and they're all on Targhee. Look at this. I knew I wanted one that had some brighter reds. So yeah, I am obsessed. These are all 4 ounces. My plan is to spin them all a 3-ply fractal. So I'll split the braid into 3 pieces. One will be spun straight end to end, one will be divided further into 2, and then the last one will be divided into 4. So 1 ply will be, you know, all the colorway in a row, one will be 2 sections and one will be 4, and then we apply them together. That's how you get that really beautiful like spin cycle, like barber pulling effect. So that's how I'm planning to spin all of them, because I'm trying to get like a DK to worsted weight. So my goal is to do it that way. We'll see. But yeah, this is the first one that I was like, love, had to have. Then I knew I was gonna want a couple of solid, like more solid tonal leaning colors to kind of break it up, because the thing with the night shift is that you're using like all the different colors together. So I knew I had to get enough variety that like they would feel different. So then I picked out a couple of more tonal colors. So the next one I got was Plum, which is this really pretty like darker purple. It's got some nice variegation in it. Again, this is on Target. And I also got, what is it? Heather. So this is kind of a lighter purple. Very, very pretty. Again, I have 4 ounces of each of those. So those are the first 3. Then I got Lipstick Diva, which kind of combines those like reds and purples, but brings in these like more corally, brighter tones. Here's those 4. And then there was also like a half-tone version of that color called Tiny Dancer, which is this one. Again, a bit brighter, a bit lighter, but similar tones. This one has even more of that kind of coral in it. There's too much fiber. So here's that. And then last but not least, I know I wanted to get something with a little bit of a different color in the mix just to kind of break it up a little. So this one is Nebula, and this introduces that bit of turquoise that I think will just like pop nicely in the shawl. Okay, if I can hold these all at once. So yes, here it is. So these are my 6 braids that I'm going to spin for my night shift shawl. I think they're different enough that you'll still get like really pretty variety and you'll still be able to see the slip stitch, but they're not like so disparate that, you know, it's gonna look like a weird rainbow or something. So yeah, I'm so excited. All I want to do is start spinning these. This is definitely enough to keep me busy for like the foreseeable future. If I really am like committed, I can usually spin 4 ounces in like 4 days. Like if that's like my main focus, I could spend like an ounce a day, really. I mean, if I wanted to, I could probably sit down and do the whole thing in a day, but that's not like a comfortable amount of spending for me. So realistically, I think even if I try and get like a braid in like a week or 2, I don't know. I'm just gonna kind of do them at my own pace, but I'm really excited about all of them. And I think they're beautiful and I love spinning. Kind of took me a minute to come around to it, and definitely the more you practice and the more consistent you are, like the more enjoyable it is. And consistent, I mean like doing it every day. I think I've even noticed since we started Tour de Fleece, just like market improvement, just doing it a little bit every day. So yeah, that's my big fiber acquisition. Full disclosure, I think I spent like $125 on this fiber, which like if I had bought Spin Cycle to make the night shift, it would be like over $300. So, you know, you are getting to do the spinning, which is like part of the fun, and you're saving on the cost. Obviously it takes a lot longer to spin all the yarn yourself, but in the end, it's gonna be so special to have this like completely handmade project, and I'm very excited. So that is it for acquisitions. I was gonna quickly talk about a couple of plans that I have. So I do want to cast on one more tank top. I'm not really considering it a summer knit because I'm planning to use wool yarn to make it, but I want to knit the Curious Crop by Lydia Morrow. Such a cool design, has this cutout right here. I just think it's really cool. I'm planning to knit this in some black, like merino silk blend that I have. It has quite a bit of negative ease, so I think that yarn will feel really nice on the body. Probably planning to knit it a little bit longer, thinking that it would be like tucked into a skirt, under a jacket or something. So yeah, I think that might be a cast on soon. I'm also planning to cast on another Hannah cardigan. Here's a picture. I recently finished one of these for my friend's son, and now I'm planning to knit another one for my other friend's son. This time I'll be knitting the smallest size 1 to 2, out of some blue acrylic yarn that I have. That's a really fun project. I'm excited to cast on another one of those. I already told you about the old fashioned I'm gonna knit for Troy. And then, as I said, Andrea Mowry's Rhinebeck sweater coming out on Tuesday. Very cute. Here's a picture of the like sneak peek if I can find it. It is like an all over color work quilted design. I'm already trying to think like, what do I have in stash that I could use, or am I gonna have to buy yarn? But I think it's gonna be calling for Spin Cycle Dream State, which is their like worsted weight yarn, but it's 300 yards per 100 grams, which to my mind, that's a sport weight, right? But they're calling it worsted. So I'm like, I have some worsted weight yarns in my stash, but they're not gonna match up to that like yardage to gram ratio. So I think I might end up having to buy yarn for that, but I am planning to knit that for Rhinebeck. So yeah, that's some of the plans that I have coming up. As far as other life things, I already talked about Tour de Fleece. That's going until July 21st, as I said, but I think I really started to enjoy that habit of spinning every morning, and I might just try and keep it up. Next weekend, we are hosting a dinner. So I think I've talked about this on here a few times, but during COVID, I started this project of trying to cook a meal, most usually dinner, from every country in alphabetical order. So I do a bunch of research on the countries and like their most popular or like, you know, traditional foods, and put together a menu and like cook that style of food for sometimes just for me and Troy, sometimes for like a whole bunch of people. And next weekend we are doing the India dinner, and we're gonna have a bunch of people over. And this one's kind of special. I have a friend who's from India, and she has been helping me make the menu. We've been to a few different restaurants together. We went and shopped for ingredients together, and we're making one of her family recipes. So that's always really special when I can like include someone who is from the country in the meal, and those are like the most treasured ones. So very excited for that, but it's gonna be a lot of cooking this week to get ready for it, but it's gonna be great. If I remember, I can try and share some pictures next time. We're also getting ready to do a little traveling. In 2 weeks, we're going to North Carolina, and we might do some filming there. Why might? We're going to visit a knitting friend, my friend Jess, and who knows, maybe we'll film a little video or something. Maybe not, but maybe we will, who knows. If we don't, I probably won't be back for 3 weeks just because we're going to be traveling, as I said. But yeah, everything is good here. Summer is crazy as usual, just like plans every night. It's just a wild time, but it's all good things. If you're local to Columbus and you are interested in joining our open craft night this coming Tuesday at Gamut Beer Garden, we will all be there. You bring your own project. They have great food, great drinks. You can come hang out. That's the first and third Tuesday of every month. So we'll be there this Tuesday. If you are local, as I said, or visiting, please feel free to stop in. And I think that's all I have for you today. So I hope you've been getting lots of crafty time in this busy season, and I hope that you're able to enjoy maybe knitting outside. Too hot to do that here, but yeah, let me know if you're participating in the West Knits Mystery Sock Along, and let me know what you're working on. And I will talk to you again in a couple of weeks. Bye.